I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Welcome back to the Brooklyn Junction Season 3, Really Smart Stuff Volume 2, Will AI Take Our Jobs?
Welcome back to the Brooklyn Junction Season 3 and another episode on Really Smart Stuff. And I have with me Peter Cressy, who was absolutely brilliant in the last episode, though we hardly disagreed on multiple subjects regarding millennials. But we're going to go right into will AI destroy jobs? And thanks, Peter, for coming. And why don't you say hello and we'll kick this off.
Hello. Welcome to the podcast for me again, and then looking forward to it.
So, Peter's got extensive experience in AI, which he'll take us through a little bit. I love AI, right? How I use it every day, right? So what I'm doing is I'm addicted to ChatGPT. I use Gronk a little bit, and I'm writing multiple pieces. And so I double check those things. And I created, through multiple AI software packages, some advertisements for my book. I created my book cover. I had hired a professional editor, an individual who did a great job. But I could have probably today put it through ChatGPT and got almost the same kind of results, $6,000 less, obviously. But I think in my simple requirements, it's enhancing my life. I mean, I believe Google and Yahoo destroyed SEOs, right? You can't just ask it straight questions. All it does is send advertisements. All it sends is it plugs whoever's paying for the most for your attention gets it first. You go to GPT and you say, could you give me the unemployment rates over the last 10 years? Or give me the basic critical feelings towards the Beatles solo output from 1970 to 80. And you get thorough, detailed, factual information. You got to double and triple check it. But to me, that's how AI enhances my life. But I could have gotten rid of that editor. So the question for you, Peter, is besides the editor, which is obvious to me, will AI destroy jobs?
Yes, and I fully endorse that. Of course, it's going to destroy jobs, just like we destroyed line operators or elevator operators or people picking fruit. You don't need to do that anymore.
Telex operators, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. And so why do that anymore? And why not free that up? So yes, it absolutely will destroy jobs as we know it, as we move from this. Of course, we're out of the Industrial Revolution. We're coming out of the information age, and now we're coming into the knowledge age. That's where we're moving. We're moving from information people into knowledge workers. Different. Instead of an IT guy making sure the rack works and all that stuff, it just works. You don't need it. AI will sort everything else out, and we're moving to a knowledge age. So yeah, it's going to destroy. So what I wanted to do today was to put a framework on that and then have a discussion about which jobs are a threat. And what's been talked about before is not that jobs are going away, skills are going away. That's the difference.
Tasks.
Tasks and tasks. In the need for certain skills are going away. And so when you frame it in that point of view, you say, do you really need a paralegal to look up the doctrine in 1954 that decided something? No, just ask AI to do it. And it's called zero click. There's no clicks. You're not clicking. You're not trying to search yourself into the information layer, just as a reportedly knowledge layer. Do you really need that person? Or when your doctor needs to tell you about what medications might be contraindicated with the medications you're taking, do you really need to talk to the doctor? Just ask AI, it'll tell you, and put it in a format that at certain levels. What I love about AI is I always say, tell me it like you tell a fifth grader. Tell me like a 12th grader. Tell me like I tell a high school person. That's very helpful because it will put levels there. And so I always say, tell me what it would be like to talk to a senior. And it always starts out with, everything's okay now, nothing to be worried about. No, it doesn't.
Dude, AI is like super, super gnarly. I don't even know if they use gnarly. I'm probably dating myself.
If you're talking about a 10-year-old, it starts with shut up and listen. No, just kidding. So AI will do what it tells you to do, and it basically is doing one thing. And I want to frame it how it works, but it's freeing up time. And if it's freeing up time, what are we going to do with that disposable time? A quick story. My mother, when I was 5 years old, we got a new washer. We put it in the basement, clothes washer, not the dryer. We're still hanging the sheets on the line. But she stood at the washer. I will never forget this, and watched it go around. And the spin cycle. You can eat back in the day. You could open. They didn't have the safety, and I could see. And what she was saying to me was, "It's saving me so much time to wash the clothes. I don't have a wringer or anything that." And I said, "More time to spend with me, Mommy?" She goes, "No, more time to play the piano," because she loved to play the piano. Now, that's a great story because we're saving time. And the question is, what are we going to do with it? We're going to have more time for leisure. Do we need to work 40 hours a week? No, we work 30 hours a week is going to do it. Still going to work, but we can be more efficient for time. So AI today saves time, and it's going to save time for tasks. And the question is, why mow your lawn? We have a automated vacuum cleaner in the house, Roomba. It's been there for 20 years. Why vacuum your house? There's no reason. Let the little robot do it. It does a better job, first of all. And so,
Well, see,
the
go ahead.
balance of that's kind of the way it is.
So I told you this story before. My parents bought a house in Brooklyn, New York, on East 34th and Avenue L. And in the basement, we found the first owner's law diaries, right? Absolutely fascinating to me. I mean, I'm sitting there reading through what this guy did in a day, in a week, what he was building. I watched it from conception through actual cases, And he had pictures also of everything at the time, which was a trip. Like there's like 5 buildings on Flatbush Avenue, famous thoroughfare that obviously became pretty developed. So I'm reading this, and he took a day to write one letter threatening another business over a dispute. I mean, it was a day to a day and a half of him dictating one letter. And by the time I was struck by this because, later in life, if I didn't produce 50 emails in a given day driving the business I was working in, I was hosed up. Do you know what I mean? I was unsuccessful.
Time
right?
efficiency
And so
is like a
time and
force
efficiency,
multiplier.
and it did put lawyers out of business. The ability to produce more office automation. Now there are going to be some casualties. Proofreaders, we talked about this. Paralegals. There are certain. It's going to be a displacement that will definitely affect white collar positions. And I think I read in the Wall Street Journal that it'll increase employment by the year 2032 by 10%. So a 15% unemployment rate. That's pretty intense squeeze of
No,
job.
is that what it said?
Right.
I don't believe that.
And that was one negative case. Everybody else was different. The guy from NVIDIA said, no, this will be a boom in job opportunity. What is your thoughts? Did you work and consult in this business?
It's a boom. It's a replacement. And as we lose more jobs and there's a flattening of people, qualified, smart people in technology or any service jobs, there's room to grow. And so we may lose 1 million jobs, but we're going to gain 1.5 million jobs. And so by any measure, McKinsey and other major companies are saying about a 20% rate of return the current jobs versus replacement. But there's a rub there. Some people can't participate in the next generation of jobs. They don't have the skill set to do it. So they can't get there. If they're older employees, they can't get trained and they're unwilling, then AI will just take their jobs and they're going to they move to hourly services workers there. But I wanted to move back and frame it up a little bit for AI and not to be too pedantic or even low end. Artificial intelligence just simply means that it's artificial as it relates to intelligence of what we regard in our brain. So artificial just means a machine's doing it, and it's replicating what your brain does. Now, when we automate, we're either automating our brain or our hands. We have automated continually from the Industrial Revolution until the present day to make things faster and better. I mean, the production line of the Model T, that was automation. They created an automation for it in a way, little baby things they could do. And today with robots and everything like this, it's faster. So for our hands and the robots that are coming, fantastic benefit to mankind. I can't wait for my medical assistant robot that's going to take care of me when I'm older. That will be there by the time in 20 years from now. But the cool part is what's happening in the digital brain. As we replicate our brain, it just replicates two things. It replicates sort of creation or reasoning. So what we're seeing in phase one is replicating and changing under neural networks your creation. And it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. How do you feel about the creation when you create something? You have to you said it, you got to triple check it. So creation under AI is a pretty dangerous thing. It's convenient, but the quality's just not there. Do you feel it's there? How do you feel about creating?
Well, I think,
AI?
you could always, when I first started using it for promoting my band, the guitarist is a CTO level guy. And he's like, oh man, you got everybody looking like they have dysmorphia in their face, like it's not perfect. And I said, okay, I learned the software. Do not change the face, have the guitar move, whatever it is. So I had to learn how to use OpenArt AI. And I fell in love with it for creating funny images for the podcast, because most of the Brooklyn podcast has been comedy based, So, I mean, there's nobody, for instance, you don't have 1970s kids with shaving cream, shaving down, putting shaving cream all over a 1970s Brooklyn's driveway, right? That's an image I had to create. There's not a million of those stock images with Getty Images and stuff. So I thought this was funny. People were loving all these bizarre images I created. Bela Lugosi apparently always wore his Dracula outfit all the time to be noticed. So I have him food shopping, as Bela Lugosi, So it was I had a thing on St. Patrick's Day, and I have Obama, Kennedy, Reagan, famous people drinking Guinness, pints of Guinness. And that was all that. And so it was fun for me. It was a creative outlet. Let's take it a step further for the commercials for the novel, right? Which I think you've seen. By the last one, it was extraordinarily professional. And it was a whole new creative way of doing things where I didn't have to, I took actual stock photos of 1970s, young college girls, high school girls on a dilapidated, screwed up subway with one of my heroes walking by, right? And it looks like a realistic film. And then I took my street on a picture and I have him kiss a girl on my street. Before that, I have my bad guys in the slush in the Junction. And these are all stock photographs. I have them all walking into Times Square, but it's the actual 1970s Times Square from actual photos. And it's a blast. It's
fun for you because you're able to create something you can't create. But I'd like to challenge that and simply say, in my opinion, it's absolute, as the UK people say, dross. It's inauthentic. Every time I see it, I hate it. And every time I see it in Netflix or media or read it, I can see it. And I can see. And the reason is it's inauthentic. And so it's convenient.
Not my last one. Not my last one. You would not be able to tell. But I will tell you this. I was ahead. I did this 3 years ago. 3 years ago. And I was ahead of the curve. To be fair, the AI crap meme has emerged so quickly. Like I was on the tail end, as I always am. I got into Nirvana 5 months before Kurt Cobain offed himself, So I'm always late to the party. But when I first did it, it was kind of interesting. But to your point, now you can look at those images I created and you can go, wow, they're all AI. You didn't know that 3 years ago when I first did it.
Well, that's exactly right. And so today,
So I don't do that anymore. But the last video,
Now be
to
authentic.
be
You're
very
authentic
defensive,
enough.
to be defensive, the last video is fantastic, and you can't tell it's AI, but that's besides the point. But that's because I got better with the tools and better with the, and
All I can tell you is that I'm getting back to the framework, but I'm simply saying the creation and substitution for AI is mostly crap, mostly. And in
yeah,
Hollywood
it
today, in the creation area, and the books that are written, and Netflix, and everything you've seen, it's normalized efficiency. Remember, when you create, this is interesting technically, when you create an image from AI, it creates it from nothing, from noise, and keeps generating it on probability, and that's how it works. And so it can only get approximate of what's out there, of what images that are like. So if you say, I want a cat, and it starts from dog, it takes time to go from the dog to the cat. So it's inauthentic and relatively wrong. And so the bottom line is that AI...
Inauthentic and relatively wrong is a great line. It is.
It's relatively wrong, and in this day, we want authenticity. So the interesting thing about AI is the creativity of AI as it relates to jobs is because we're moving into a knowledge layer and from an information layer. This is so interesting for jobs. That middle layer is going to go away. So who leaves? The stewards of the information. Who are they? They're professors at universities. They're gone. They're gone because they manage the information as if they had all the information in their libraries and their knowledge. But did they really have deep knowledge? No. The paralegals, gone. Anybody managing information layer on the IT, gone. And when I'm saying gone, it's relative, but I'm saying that it'll fade to black. So if you're in the information layer as a task, an area of managing information, gone. Search engine optimization, down 25%. Just the ability to search to get advertising dollar from Google, down 25% in a year. What? Is anybody searching anymore? No. It's a zero-click environment where you speak in. So that's one half of the brain of neural networks that is threatened by jobs. What will persist, though, you will survive because you're a creative. You can have what the MIT calls a plastic brain, plasticity. You can go from here to here to here, and you do. It's entertaining, informational, and interesting. It's why Howard Stern is the most exciting media person ever, because you don't know where he's going to go. He doesn't know where he's going to go. And it's super interesting because he's got a plastic brain that goes here and here and here.
He's not at that level anymore. He's, but Joe Rogan's.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, same thing. He takes that view to say, hey, guest, who do you really want to go? But I'm saying the type of brain that will persist. Creative artists persist. Musicians won't persist. Anybody creating is going to be more powerful because of the way AI is there. The second half is going to be in how the brain reasons, because the huge growth is not the creation of the engines from generative AI. Really, the growth is going to be in inference, decision making. And that's where it gets really scary. When AI begins to start replacing decision making. So I ask you, for the decisions in your life, you think you're going to give them up. Can you think of the decisions that you do daily? Can you think of what jobs are going to go? That, the hottest movie coming out right now is that he has 90 minutes to prove his case that he's not guilty. Otherwise, they put him in jail. It's a legal thing. The decisions of the legal system, the decisions of the government, the decisions of this, all going to be automated with AI. And those control and governance, they're going away.
Well, there's two paths you've just made me. Two paths I'd like to interject on. So they argue that truck drivers and cabs will be all automated. We already discussed paralegals and proofreaders, junior analysts, copywriters, customer support done. It's not, I still want to eventually get to a person, right? They'll probably support fraud with people.
Why do you want to talk to a person?
Because, if it's important.
Because you want to be validated and heard that you're in pain, or do you want to get something done correctly that a machine never makes a mistake on?
Well, I don't know if it does or it doesn't, but you're right. It could be both. Coding. What about coding? I'm hearing coding is done, like sitting in coding, and now the salaries for coders have gone down. You can literally, as you say, it's spoken interface. Hey, listen, Python is the basic operating system behind Cisco routers. You can say, look, I create a 20 node network for Valencia Benita's clubhouse with the 5G interface. So
Basically, coding, just to give the answer, 80% of coding can be done by AI. It's that last 20% that's difficult. But does it save 80% of the cost basis of coding and writing code? Yeah. Yes, it's already written. All the code's written.
Yeah.
Already for automation and stuff like this. So do you need, are those jobs decreasing? Is the price point going down for coders? Yes, dramatically. And so the tasks are changing.
So yeah, to me, I lean in your direction in a sense. I don't know about growth. I think it's a transformation, but it's a much bigger transformation. So there was a whole concept, which has now changed, of taking away manufacturing jobs, shifting them overseas. That was globalism in the 90s. And now the information worker was going to be the service worker. The United States was going to be all information workers, service worker. And I was a prime example of that. That's what I did, from writing white papers on things to doing client satisfaction, to selling, to doing engineering. So I was in that service economy, and it was brilliant, So now you've got a current concept of bringing some manufacturing back, which is all going to be robotic, right? It's, low-level functions. I don't think it's going to create an enormous amount of jobs. But, manufacturing will... we told these corporations, go out there. let's make China a capitalist country. Let's move all our low end tasks offshore. And Clinton, for all the good, some of what she did, with helping enable the internet and keeping Greenspan, keeping interest rates low. He also signed the North Atlantic Treaty, which was a transformation. My question to you: that transformation was painful, caused a lot of people to get upset, lose their job. The manufacturing base moved out of the country. Is this kind of transformation to the information going to be just as bad, the same, or worse?
Worse, because now we can do it at scale. Before it was different locations, but now we can do it at scale based upon the fiber that connects everything and the information net that's laid down. People are very comfortable having a Zoom meeting from Indiana to New York City. They don't care. You don't need to get on a plane. Now what can happen in the knowledge age is you can do things at scale. The data centers are now being built up dramatically for big and small. It's the fastest infrastructure growth in terms of dollars in the history of mankind. Does anybody know that data centers are being built today and basically using a lot of the power and the cooling of the water, all to create this brand new aspect? And is it changing your life so you can make edits on ChatGPT? Yes. It's changing business life so everything can be automated. So instead of outsourcing it to India or Vietnam or different places to write code, finished. And now those jobs will be based upon knowledge workers. So if that's the case, where do we need people? What's the opportunity for the future? Remember, AI is mimicking your brain to supplant creativity and creation for Gen AI. And then for the decision making for decision AI, there's going to be huge growth in different areas as it relates to decision making and automation. So that is going to grow. We're just going to have a different mix. And the IT knowledge workers are going to change into from information workers into the knowledge layer. And let's see what's going to happen in different areas where it's both. Let's see what the future of Arthur Andersen and Gartner and McKinsey will be for consultants. Let's see if we need them anymore. Newsflash, we don't. They sell information and put it on a chart and tell the CIO, hey, this is kind of where you are. But what do I do? Wow, you're going to have to pay a premium for that. So let's see what university and educations become. The education is falling dramatically because there's no students to pay the bills, and there's no students coming in paid for because the U.S. government's blocking foreigners who are paying the bills. What will a professor and all those deans and the administrative overload, do they do anything? Do you need them? No. And so when the cost basis comes, the university and learning will be disintermediated. Let's see what happens with manufacturing. So it's an exciting time. You either got to get on board with it now, or you're going to be, as they say in flying, below the power curve. And you can't recover. You can't recover. I've one other point I want to make, but I wanted you to see kind of what you feel about that.
Well, you said two things that seem a little contradictory. You said that it's going to expand, employment, right? By 20% on the outset, but at the same token, it's removing an entire layer of workers now. So I can't seem to if you're saying it's a 2 to 5 year period of pain, followed by, now we'll be more productive and we'll do 30-hour work weeks. I just know it's always try to get this stuff, cost of sale, drive it down. Cost of production, drive it down. So, you could argue it'll become only the smartest will survive, and the rest would be wage slaves.
Well, I'll tell you where it's going to come from in the AI technical world. It comes from, if you're in that layer, you said, what do I do? Domain understanding, sorry for the word, or of your industry, for the data and the understanding of the industry is super valuable. Anybody that touches how automobiles are made and work, they're valuable. Anybody that understands retail at the very specific layer of the data, they're valuable. The people that touch the domain and understand the data, and the reason is they're going to create a knowledge layer to leverage that, and that is not even close to being done yet. And that's the future for mankind, is taking those domains and now optimizing it for the decision making to make it easy and easier and easier. Why can't we go to Target, throw stuff in a cart, and then walk, not like the TikTok videos, and just walk out? Why can't the cart just know what's there and you swipe your credit card? Why can't they solve that problem? Why do you even have to go as a senior to the doctor anymore? You don't. You just do a YouTube video, he takes scans of how you look and talks to you, and that's done. Why do we have to spend all this hand labor to pick tomatoes or strawberries? We don't. And so all those people in the domain are going to basically begin to optimize. And then where are they going to move to? Number one growth area for AI, number one, nothing comes close, is health. We're going to move into a new health age where they're going to be optimizing that. Instead of spending all the money of the cost of health on the people that do it, we're going to create new jobs for health. So there's a lot of optimism. It just requires transformation.
And my son is running AI for a company, and my daughter is very involved. And I push them. I says, always become the knowledge expert on new technologies that are required in the marketplace. So that's something I've taught them. But the point is that they're transcended me, and I had all my MRIs from all my different issues. And my son goes, "Why don't you put them into ChatGPT and see what it says?" And it gave me a holistic, brilliant view that all the different doctors had kind of got there, but now they didn't require 20 visits. I got 4 MRIs with a 2-page document on what ChatGPT read, what it said, and so. Look, I'm an advocate. I don't have a dystopian mindset. I do think that the force feed of all the calamities of the world through social media and our news systems has made us more apprehensive about the future. But I think somehow we'll work it out. And I think AI. I love it for the fun, but I agree now in hindsight that all that original stuff I did in AI is indeed for us.
Sorry,
but my commercial, the last one I put together, the little short TikTok videos, I think it's really a creative use of my marketing.
In its time.
Like today. I only did it last week.
In its time. I want to end with a caution, if that's okay. But I don't want to. The caution is this: two major things. The hyperscalers, Meta, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and then Grok and other ones there. These are the powerful people. They're building data centers, massive data centers that are controlling mankind. Make no mistake about it, it's happening right in front of our eyes. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying that's what they're doing. And there's $1 trillion of spent to put everything into the data center. And when you begin to aggregate in, the danger for the jobs is, who are you really working for? You're working for those data centers and the metascalers because there's an ecosystem. So the number one job threat is the aggregation of that knowledge management. Where is that being aggregated? And is that distributed down into mankind? Not really. It's an aggregation game. That's a caution. And the second caution is clearly aggregation of knowledge. What is one thing about mankind? We have an evil part of mankind based upon either warfare or bioterrorism or anything else. If that knowledge, and think of Wuhan lab in your mind and think about the most secure Wuhan lab for an AI that could never be cracked, that is so complex, that scares me. And that is the number one bioterrorism that all of the major leaders are saying that keeps them up at night. Then, and we're going to see, and by the way, it's not what's on Capitol Hill talking about child pornography and creation there. That's very bad. But that's a small thing that they're using to be able to say, hey, we've got that covered, but we don't have everything else covered. So that's the danger of AI and the jobs. And I want to leave the podcast with saying that's the growth. Go ahead and transform, but be well aware that only about a handful of people are controlling the AI revolution at this moment.
Well, I also have a whole feeling about the oligarchs. I think that unlike the ones of 120 years ago, the Carnegies, the Morgans, and all those guys who had some superstitious attachment and affectation called religion, kind of dogging them a little bit. I think this group is they're like the universe, morally neutral, right? And it's all about growth but let's hope it's somewhere in the middle. But I do have the caution, I'm sorry I moved the screen there, but I do have caution that the last words a human will utter will be something like, oh, wow, that worked. Well, I want to thank you, Peter, for joining me on the Will AI Destroy Jobs? And we'll see you on the next one. And Peter, why don't you tell everybody to like and subscribe?
Like and subscribe. This is an excellent podcast because of the nature of what we talk about. It's really unconstrained. And remember, there's no politics. It just is what it is. So that's what I really like about this podcast.
Peace out.
Peace out. Thank you.
You guys are the best. Hey, Mark, want to go the prom?